Hi, guys. Welcome to Off the Clock. Today is episode 2, and we will be discussing people pleasing.
Oof. Okay, buckle up because you are talking to
Professionals.
two recovering people pleasers who are learning as we go. So I guess, what is people pleasing to you? Because I feel like it can be very different to everyone.
What it is versus what it used to be are two different things, I guess. I can proudly say, still working on it. I guess before, you just want people to be happy with you, with what you give them. Even if you can't give it, you figure it out because they asked you that you have, it's it's an honor to be asked.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, you asked me, so I will deliver, regardless of whether I can or not. And I guess now I'm learning it's a little bit more of a quality versus quantity type of thing, I guess is a good way to put it, where I can do a better job of pleasing the people that are well suited when it comes to like business stuff or actually even personal too.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
What about
'Cause
you?
I feel like just it just words. Like just learning how to say no or learning that it's okay to say no or like just being able to like set boundaries, obviously respectfully, but like cuz there is a fine line between like wanting to say yes, getting clients, making people happy, like we're running a business obviously. And then being like okay, but within certain parameters. Like I'm not just going to or like what I feel like what I used to do is be like, okay, yeah, I can do that. Okay, you need more revisions, we can do that. Okay, we're way
No worries.
we're, scope creep is real. Like we're out of scope. We're, this isn't something that I normally do. But because you asked nicely, I'll do it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like and so I think learning to set boundaries has definitely helped at least to some extent. I'm still not great at like I said, I'm still learning, but like it definitely helps kind of rein it in to be like it is okay to say no or to not. I mean, no is a full sentence. Like I can say no if I want to say no.
You don't have to give a reason. You taught
Exactly.
me that. Like that's plenty.
Yeah.
You don't have to, actually.
No one needs a reason. Just in general. Like if you say no, that's it.
Yeah.
However, obviously in a business setting to be like, okay, this is what you're asking for. That's either out of scope, over budget, this, that, or whatever. But, if that's something you want, we can either start a new contract, we can, expand, we can add more hours. Like you still have to compensate me for all of these things that you're asking for.
And you're setting the boundary as you're discussing it instead of
Right.
just being like, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, honestly, one thing that's helped me be able to say, because I'm terrible at saying no in the moment. Like if someone's like, hey, can you do this for me? I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Cause like
Like calls are hard.
exactly. And so I think one thing that I've started implementing when I'm on a call with either a kickoff call, a meeting with a client, like whatever, to be like, okay, like this is just to get the information. And then like I will either like send over, the proposal or send over the quote or send over, like all of that. And then I'm much more firm in my word when I have time to like kind of sit on it and be like, okay, actually, no, this isn't, I've looked at everything. This is out of scope.
Yeah, because you're like, I'm same way, where in the moment, I think I can do everything.
Right.
I think I'm superhuman for all of a sudden, for like a blip. And then you're like, oh, I can't actually.
Like, wait a
in
minute,
month.
that exactly. Like this is either unrealistic or, like it's going to take more time than what you want to do. Like, I think taking a second, just in general, I need to do better about this. Just like taking a second to reflect and be like, okay, is this actually doable? Is it feasible? Is it with, all of the things? Like, do I want to do, all of that? Like having some time to be like, okay, I've looked everything over and, does it work? Does it not? And if it doesn't, then to be able to say that later, as opposed to like in the moment where I know I'm going to say yes. To preface with like, okay, so we've discussed everything. Let me review all of this. Now I have all this information and I'll get back to you. And then I can get back to them. And like after I've had time to kind of sit with it,
I think, like based off the feedback that I feel like I get when I do that is they a lot of people like it because they know that you thought about what they need.
Correct.
You're not just saying yes just to get their business.
Right.
You're actually thinking it through. You're actually planning it out. And so I think they feel more confident in why you said yes.
Right. Exactly.
Your yes is more intentional too.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's so true. It makes the things that you do so much more intentional. It makes both your yeses and your nos, you say it with your whole chest.
Yeah.
Like you go into it feeling confident instead of being like, yeah, I can do it. I'm not like super pumped about it, but like I can. And then like, as opposed to like being like, yes, I can do this. I know for a fact I can. And like, it helps me have a better game plan too. Like,
Yes,
here's
you can
how
schedule your mom.
here's how we're going to do it. Not only the yes, I can do it, but like yes, and here's everything I've thought through.
I like doing it that way too because I can also, as someone who apparently has a lot of time blindness, which I was like, oh, that's what you call that. I can also kind of, like you said, sit back and give myself extra time in case those moments come up where they're like, when I said this, I actually meant this. And you're not like encroaching on someone else's project.
Yeah.
That's getting all of a sudden getting pushed back or getting cut short. And you're like, oh man, like that person doesn't deserve
Right.
it.
No, because that's the other thing too, is like, I understand, like, especially with scope creep and things like that. Like, I definitely understand that, like, you need this. However, there are other, like, you're not my only client. Like, I have other things I'm doing too. So, like, that time also has to be taken into consideration. And if things keep getting pushed back, if projects keep getting, longer and longer and longer, and like, you can't wrap it up, like, it affects the rest of your workflow. It affects the rest of your scheduling. It affects the rest of your clients, which could then in turn also be costing you business. Like,
and it's not like you can just clock out at 5.
right.
So now it's costing your social life and
Right.
it's costing like time with family. And you're like, well, that's not fair to them either.
No, exactly.
Because they've been if you like, I'm married and you're married, like the time that we could be spending with them, like on the weekends and stuff, all of a sudden it's like, sorry, I'm working. And it feels very selfish, but you're giving up your time for a client. So it's not selfish, but it does feel selfish because you didn't have the like capacity to say no.
Yeah.
And so you end up
It's like I dug my own grave. I understand. However, it does affect not only yourself and like your mental health and all that sort of stuff, but it does affect the other people around you. Like, there are other things you could be doing. There are other
helping out with chores or
exactly.
something.
Like there are other buckets of your life that you could be pouring into that you don't get to because
you said yes to something you didn't want to.
Exactly. Or that like you just didn't have that you didn't want to, or that you didn't have time for, or anything like that. But yeah, also I think a part of that too is just like, or something that like I've had to learn is like, I didn't want to say no because I didn't want to have a conflict, or like I didn't want to like, again, goes back to the people pleasing thing. Like I didn't want to upset people. Like I didn't want people to be upset with me. I didn't want them to be like, oh, well, she doesn't know what she's doing. Especially starting out like early, like I was.
Does she just not know how to handle her workload? Like,
right. Yeah,
why
is she so inexperienced? Like,
why is it taking 2 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think especially because like I had started doing it like fairly young. I mean, I was like 22, 23. Anyways, I was early 20s. Like I also still didn't know, like I didn't know what I was doing, to be quite fair. But like I didn't want people to feel like that was their thought by saying no, like I was disappointing someone, that I was
incapable.
Correct. Yes. I think that is my biggest fear is people thinking I'm incompetent, I'm incapable of doing what I'm doing. And that just a fear of failure, like saying no is failing, where it is definitely not.
But I guess like, especially going, I think, through that like part in your life where you're like a young adult, you spend your whole life to be like a good student. You did say yes to everything. You did say yes to all the activities and everything. And all of a sudden you're an adult and you just assume that the same game plan works. And actually it doesn't, because people will take your time.
They don't only take your time, they take advantage of it.
Yeah. And there's some people out there that they don't even mean, like they're not intentionally taking advantage of you. They are just the type of people that are like, it can't hurt to ask. And they're trusting you to say no if you can't.
Right.
And then you said yes and you're mad and they're like, well, why didn't you tell me?
Right.
Actually, it's fine.
Yeah. There is that too. And I think that's one of the things that I have learned by just being like, hey, I can't take this on right now, or like things like that, where they're just like, oh, okay.
Or I'll wait.
Yeah.
And
like,
you're like,
okay. Or yeah, just like okay, well, we'll get back to it when you have the capacity to do that. And I'm like, oh, You're not mad at me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's so nice. And like, that's the thing. Like, I don't think I've ever really had people be that mad at me that I'm like, no, I can't do this, or I can't take, like I don't want to do this or anything like no one's ever been like, oh my God, you suck. Like, I don't think I've ever had that reaction. So I don't know why I'm so like fearful of it. Like, but for some reason, it's just like, I'm going to say no and they're going to hate me.
Mhm.
And do I really care if they hate me? I don't know. That's
It's
the thing.
just
I asked myself that, and
default.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, do I care? No, because I'm never going to talk. Like, if they get mad at me, then I'm clearly not going to talk to them ever again. So, like, why does it matter?
What's the big deal? Yeah. I think it comes down to being incompetent. I think more than
Yeah.
anything, because you could technically block them, or
Yeah.
okay. Just saying, if someone like went off the rails,
It's like, oh my God.
like we don't need to. No, the people you work with would, it's not the point. But someone said, or one of my friends told me, like every time you say no to something, you're leaving space to say yes to what you need to be saying to.
Yeah.
And I like that so much.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel so better about saying no.
That's a nice way to phrase it.
Yeah, because the things that you want to spend your time on, or you prioritize or feel good about, like they'll still be there.
Right.
And you can always fill your time up.
Right.
You can always fill your time up.
Yeah. And I think it's just I think this goes into like a work-life balance thing of like, you have to pick and choose because you only have so many hours in the day.
Yeah, apparently.
You have, unbeknownst to me until about a year ago. No, you just like, you only have so many hours in your day. So you can only say yes to so many things. And I think, like you said, like you say no, by saying no, you get to say yes to other things. But I also think you flip that around by saying yes to things that you don't even like either necessarily have the time for or want to have the time for, you're saying no to things that you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And then, because that's happened before where I'll say yes to a project that I'm like you said, like, especially in the beginning, you're like, well, I'll take it. Like,
right,
the
exactly.
worst.
Like, and that's like, especially starting out, like, I completely get saying yes to projects that you don't want to do. I will say it is a privilege to be able to say no.
Yeah.
Because it is your livelihood, because it's, your income and that affects your life clearly. So it is a privilege to be able to say no. However, it is also can be beneficial for mental health and for things like for your well-being, not overworking yourself and all of that.
You say yes to something maybe you shouldn't have. You still have to follow it through. And I guess where is that balance of like, are you like, when do you say yes to have good customer service versus saying no for like, there's still a balance for sure.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so hard because, like you said, like the customer service, I think that's another thing too, is that like it's been ingrained in us just in society as a general, is that the customer's always right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, that's not always the case.
There's some customers take advantage of it.
They're exactly also that. Yes, that abuse that power of being like, well, I'm right and I'm the one paying you and this, that, and the other. Thankfully, I haven't really ever had to deal with that in my own life. But like there are people out there like that. And so I think, like there's that weird balance between like wanting to be, have good customer service, wanting to, go above and beyond.
Which is, it can be fun actually to go above and beyond because you get to surprise them and you get to like have them more excited than they thought they would be.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I think it's a problem when it becomes an expectation that you're going to do that. Either it's an expectation that you put on yourself of like, okay, well, I went above and beyond for this person because I had a fantastic idea and it played out, with all these other things that came as I was creating, to now being like, well, I did it for that person. I feel like I have to do it for everybody else. Like things like that. Like it can be a double-edged sword.
Basically end up cutting yourself short because you every time I guess that limit gets pushed a little bit more, and then you have to like start again, reset the boundaries, and like work your way back up. And it takes so long to set them.
It does. But I do think I think as you build yourself up though, then like you also need to think about like if that's where your bar is at, if that's where your bar is moved to, then you need to make sure that you're like setting your like financially compensating yourself for the bar being raised. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's part of it too. Is like, okay, well, like if you're going to continue to essentially scope creep yourself, like, or if you're going to keep on adding things, doing this, that, and, you know, all of the things, like, then what you're doing in your packages should reflect that.
Yeah. And one of my friend's dads used to say, I'm not rich enough to do work for free.
Correct.
And so sometimes there's also that where you're like, I would love to offer more. And especially when like it's certain things you know you're capable of doing, or even if you have the free time, but it's interesting how we can, in our mind, we have to like set our own, like for me, I have to set my own boundaries of like, I don't need to necessarily offer free things just because I love them so much.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone loves a freebie. However,
but also
it does come at a cost. Like, it's free to them. It comes at a cost to you.
yeah.
And so, like, to an extent, you have to protect your peace. And, like, you can't just keep offering free work.
And half the time, if you had said, hey, I can help you with this, it'll be this much money, they're like, cool.
Yeah,
great.
Exactly. And I think
So why not start with that?
yes, exactly. And I think that's part of the boundaries of being like, okay, like being able to like set that and just be like, okay, well, that's, you know, like you said, like that's this amount of money, or like that's, you know, not something that's included with this, you know, with this package that we're doing. However, if you wanted to add that on, it would be, you know, this much. And if they have a problem with it and say no, then they can go find it elsewhere. That's what you create brand
Maybe they don't want
guidelines
it.
for, to give to other people so that way they can create things for them too.
Yeah.
And that's literally the whole purpose. So like you're at least, you know, that you are setting them up, regardless whether they say yes to your service or not, you are setting them up to be able to take those projects elsewhere.
If hit by a bus, they're good to go.
They Regina George you, you're good. But yeah, like I think, and I think that's, yeah, just part of like being able to set that up and like have that be the precedence. And again, it's not easy, especially if you don't like saying no, but like,
or have it be like a creative business, because everyone's like, it's a creative business. You're having fun. I'm basically paying you to have a good time.
yeah.
And it's not quite that simple, because there's actually a lot of thought that goes into any creative process.
Correct.
It's just that the output is not always
Correct. You're not only paying me for my creative efforts, you're paying me for my, you know, the time and everything that the strategy, like it's
how your brain works.
It's so much more than just the like, okay, well, here's the pretty things that I'm going to give you. It is like, there's so much behind the scenes that you don't even necessarily show them, because it's things that you think about too. Like it is, you know,
or your second nature at this point.
Exactly.
After like so many years, you're like, I don't even think twice about the fact that like I'm using orange instead of blue on this one. You know?
Right.
Like,
you
don't even think about it.
No, it's things that, yeah, like your skills, your expertise, your years and education and all that sort of stuff that you've learned along the way also come into that factor. So it's, again, yeah, you're not just paying for a logo, some pretty colors, and a font that you can use on your website. Like you're paying for my expertise, my insight, my knowledge,
my brain.
and exactly, and being able to help craft that strategically for you to work for your benefit.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's, yeah. Like,
it's why you hire a contractor.
Exactly. It's just framing it in a way that I think shows so much more than like that. Again, like the things that people don't see.
So coming from like working hourly or salary, I think that can be really hard to kind of like reel it in where those are. Because, you know, if you're working at work and you wanted to give something extra to a client, like someone's covering you. You don't really have to think, like if you can get your work done in that allotment time, you can go above and beyond all you want. And it's already covered, versus no one's covering you for this like side quest you've created for yourself. Someone needs to cover it.
Right.
So you have to be stricter with yourself.
Right. And if they're not going to cover it, then you're covering it and you don't want to cover that, because again,
it's unsustainable.
No, it's not. And I think one of the big ways that I see myself doing people pleasing is like what we said, like within revisions, even the amount of like tweaks and stuff people want to make to things to be like, oh, okay, well, it's a super simple change. Like I'll just do that. And then it's a super simple change. I'll just do that. And then here we are version 10.5 and a half, and it's still
like Frankenstein now.
Exactly. It's still not there, or it's, you know, it's nothing, you know, at that point after that many things, it's just becomes something you're not proud of.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't what I envisioned at all. We're completely losing the whole point.
Yeah, usually.
The plot is long gone.
Yeah, usually. Now they're just like, I don't understand why I don't like it. It's like, because we've moved so far past the original intent.
And I think that was one of the revisions was one of the very early things that I was like, okay, I need to get this locked down, because otherwise I'm going to be working for free because I'm doing so many revisions. And yeah, sure, some of them may be little, but all those little things add up.
Or else it's 2 months later and you're still working on it and you're supposed to have started something.
Yeah.
And once again, it's not fair to the person who respected
your time. Yeah.
Do you find that there's anything that, like, either a mindset or like certain boundary setting things that you've done that were like pivotal, I guess, or, you know, or a certain person that made you move forward differently?
Not a certain person. I think just realizing that, like what we said earlier, like, if I say no, either they're gonna be like, okay, thank you, or they're gonna be like, okay, I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and again, you know, I'm knock on wood that, like, I'm not gonna say, like, most people are very understanding and respectful of your time, and the ones that aren't worth your time.
That kind of,
and they've shown you who you are, and you're like, okay, I didn't want to work with you anyways. If this is how you're going to treat me,
it's interesting how say no will sometimes bring that out, where you're like, actually, I'm glad I did, because I saw how much you might not value a person that is going to create something for you.
Right. Yeah. I think that's really been like the biggest thing, is like, okay, well, either, you know, it sucks to not be able to say yes to everything, sure, but like, I say no and it is okay.
Life moves on, actually.
Exactly. Like, I may panic about it. I may break out in hives and need to take a floor nap, but like, it will be okay.
I may have to draft 7 emails and then schedule to send, and then change my mind, and then schedule to send, and then change my mind.
Not that that's ever happened
That
before.
has been so when I like need to set one and I'm actually nervous about it, I will write an email and I will take some time, and if I need to use AI to like change my tone because I'm really angry in the moment maybe, or I'm really nervous, I'll let it sit, and then if I'm still upset about it the next day, I'll reread it, see if I'm and then I'll schedule it so I don't think about it while I'm sending it. Yeah. And that's been so helpful.
That's fair.
And like you said, usually people are like, well, thank you for letting me know, actually. Like, let's adjust this thing. Or,
yeah. Like, and that's the thing. I don't, like you said earlier, like, a lot of people aren't doing these things, aren't breaking your boundaries with malicious intent.
Yeah. Most people are actually great.
Exactly. And that's the, like, especially people that, because we get the benefit of being able to choose who we work with. Like, yeah, like, so you kind of already know their vibe. You've been working with them, like, all of that. So, like, a lot of people don't do it with malicious intent. They aren't pushing your boundaries.
They don't know how the process works.
Exactly. It's just, so you have to be the one to be like, hey, actually, that's not how this works, or like guide them. And again, 9.75 times out of 10, they're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. Well, you know, scrap that idea, or like, you know, we can look at that at a later date, or, you know, things like that, where it's like, yeah, like, just, you have to be the one to set the boundaries, because otherwise they don't necessarily know. They don't know the boundaries.
They don't, yeah.
Because this isn't their industry. This isn't their process. They're not the person doing this.
Right, they find people to do it for them. Exactly. That's what we have to tell them, yeah.
And you're the expert for them. So therefore, as the expert, you have to be the one to be like, we're not doing that.
And sometimes, like, I think we think boundaries are always like, oh, these are ways people can't hurt me. But they're also just a really nice way. Like, if I'm working on it with some company that's building my deck, and they're telling me how the process works, and what may look like boundaries to them are just like a process to me.
Right, exactly.
I don't even think about it as boundaries. They're just like, hey, you need to let us know by Tuesday what wood stain you want, because we got stuff to do. And I don't think like, oh, that's so rude, I have a baby shower on Monday. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know. I'll make sure to do my part.
Yeah.
And
yeah. No, and that's it. I think when when introducing or like talking about boundaries, everyone's like, it has such a negative connotation when really it can be so beneficial just in general in
It doesn't have
life.
to be last resort. It can be first resort.
Exactly. When you like don't act like it is like, okay, well we've drug on for far too long. I've got to set boundaries. It's like if you kind of reframe it as like, okay, we're keeping this on track. We're setting, like you said, like a process. Like this is the process. This is how we're doing this. Those are boundaries.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm talking about this as if we've just had all these terrible client experiences.
No, and that's the
and that's
thing.
not really
yeah.
the perspective. It's more like this is how I control my inner turmoil from getting out of hand when there's really nothing bad going on.
This is me talking myself off a ledge in real life.
Yeah, nothing
like in
bad
real
happened.
time.
You just have to tell them this is my process.
Exactly.
Or I just don't have capacity because I'm a human. Actually, I'm actually not a robot. I wish I was.
Do I?
No, but like, and honestly, most creative businesses are not heart surgery. It's
not that serious. It's not exactly.
What is it like? It's not ER. It's PR. It's fine. Like
we're in marketing, Linda. like
yes.
It's not
the worst that happens.
It's not life or death.
Even if yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
It's serious. There's money usually involved.
Sure, exactly, but it's not gonna. You're not gonna die.
Yeah,
but yeah, and you said something earlier, and I forgot what.
About being a robot?
No, before the robot. I don't know, because or like something about boundaries, which is not helpful at all.
About tying up the turmoil in your brain?
Yeah, and that's So like yeah, it's so much worse in our heads.
Always.
And I think that goes back to being, having the people pleaser in the back of your brain, being like, you're wrong, like for setting boundaries, like you're not wrong. And it's by setting boundaries, it pisses off the people pleaser in your head, but like it's going to be beneficial in the long run. Like
it's like a muscle I've learned.
Yeah.
It gets better the more I use it, and then I don't feel overwhelming guilt and shame. I can move on with my day. And sometimes like I'll tell us like about it, and then I hear it come out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Like, honestly, that is such a valid. I mean, Jeremy's never home like during the day while I'm working and stuff. So like I don't have anyone to like bounce, but just to be like, okay, I'm saying this out loud and I sound ridiculous. Like, why am I freaking out over this?
Like, take your own advice, I guess. Like,
yes.
I know sometimes I'll tell you things and you'll be like, and you'll tell me advice and I'm like, it's not that easy. And then, but then you'll tell me the same thing and I'll tell you the same advice back.
It's like, wait a minute. Okay. Yeah. No, sometimes, you just have to like.
The scenario is not as nuanced as you make it seem.
Right.
Which in our heads we're like, but this is a person I've known for a long time. They also might just want to know the process and what it looks like. And so it's just, I guess it's our responsibility to educate them.
Right.
I guess short version.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely part of it.
So I think, like you said, a lot of it stems from wanting people to think you're just capable of all the things. So I guess it also goes hand in hand with the imposter syndrome. Like you said, when you first start out, it's really hard to separate the two because they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Because you want to be the best provider that ever lived.
You're right. Yeah.
I have low standards for myself, obviously.
No, and that's the thing. Like the people pleasing and the imposter syndrome are, like you're like, okay, well, am I really doing this if I'm not saying yes, if I'm not doing all of the things, if I'm not, being everything I can be and I can do. Like if I don't know. I think it's just the like societal thing of like you have to work all the time, like work focus, that has to be like work-life balance is a thing. And so I think like, just I'm trying to think of how to word that nicely.
You need to kind of learn how to cut your own self off, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
that's the thing. Like you can't, like we've been saying, you can't say yes to everything, even though you've been told your whole adult career that like your productivity is your worth. Yeah. And it's not. It can't be. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself out. And like, you have to at some point learn to start setting those not lowering the standards, but like setting the standards differently or like reframing them.
But I think once you do and you kind of learn to see them quicker, you also are able to make decisions quicker. So
Yeah.
if you're letting yourself overthink it and please everyone, you also your decision making kind of gets skewed. So once you start learning where the boundary is, what your process is, you can make those yes or no decisions easier too. Whether it's just money,
Mm-hmm.
as we discussed earlier, or whether it's time, and it just makes it easier. Like I know for myself, I have to make a weekly calendar, and I have to give myself a time allotment for each project because I won't understand when I'm going to go over it.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that makes it easier for me to say no because I'm like, I am way past 40 hours in just projects this week. And for my month, this is how much I've estimated. Granted, things always go over.
Sure.
And then there's admin and there's stuff like that. But I made that system for myself so that my brain can tell me no, even before it gets to the people pleasing part. Like,
oh, that's so smart.
I don't even consider pleasing anyone because actually I will probably die if I take on more. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's helped me.
That's so smart. Like I never would have thought of that. I just have like a running list of things and I'm like, okay, well,
My brain needs logic to make a decision because otherwise everyone is awesome. Everyone is so nice. I've known everyone forever because I've lived here forever. I need something. And for me, it comes down to, I think time right now is my barrier.
No, that's, I mean, honestly, whatever it takes to be like, okay, this is my limit and I'm at it. And therefore I have to say no.
Yeah. Before you even consider if they're, your aunt's grandma or, your high school teacher.
Sorry, grandma, I don't have time. Like, yeah, no, just being, I think, again, as visual people, being able to see that and just be like, I actually don't have time for
I just
this.
don't. It's just yes or no. It
is what it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm so sorry. I have far too many projects for this week. And
which is such a cool thing to have too many projects for the week.
Exactly.
But I didn't know there would be enough projects for the week to be
right. Yeah.
So
and that's the thing. Like, I think that's the thing that you're so scared of starting off is like, this could all go away in a flash. And I think that's why I held on to some like longer term contracts and things like that longer than I wanted to, because there was always that fear of like, what happens if people decide that they hate what I do and no one wants to work with me ever again? And again, I say that out loud and I'm like, that's the stupidest thing you've ever said. But in my mind, when I don't say it out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. What if people hate me?
It just spins around like a little like.
And so to be at the point to realize, okay, there is always going to be more work and a capacity to like,
even if it's not
to continue
what you love,
to do
you'll
things
figure it
exactly. And so like I think that's also been part of the thing that's like helped me be able to say no, because
trust the process.
Because I've said no before, the world didn't end and I still had more projects to do.
Because the right people, once you put yourself out there and you show who you are, people catch on. And then the more people you work with, the more they can refer you. You have a nice process. So it kind of just builds with time.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
For sure.
It's okay to say no.
It is okay to say no. Take it from us who may or may not say
no.
May or may not say no long enough. What is your dream location to remote work?
I want to, have you read Heidi? No. You've never read Heidi? She lives on a mountain with her grandpa and they have sheep all around. I think it's the Swiss Alps. Maybe it's Austria. But she lives in a village and it's just, in my mind, how I read it, it was the most beautiful place ever. And there's just birds chirping, there's flower fields, and I want to live in a cottage. I don't know how I'm going to have Wi-Fi. And then I can just, work from there and then go outside and like swing on my little swing under the tree. The beach, I think normally, but for some reason, Heidi, the visual of Heidi right now is where I'd like to be for a month.
Okay.
Maybe because there's nothing to do and I don't want to find something to do.
That's fair. That's very fair. That sounds lovely. Just have a little sheep friend. That is, yeah. I was gonna say mine would be about the same. Like, I think like Ireland or Scotland to just like go and like, yeah. Like I think part of the appeal of it is just like be able to shut your mind off. Otherwise, too, like not be so visually overstimulated. Like, don't get me wrong, beautiful. We'll walk around just saying wow at all of the castles, but like, to just have a more like relaxed pace of life for like a hot second and like
I think that might be it. Yeah.
Still, and I think that's a beautiful thing about being able to work remotely if we wanted to. Like, obviously, I don't want to work on vacation, but like, if I wanted to go somewhere for a month and just be like, okay, I'll work, but like, I can still have experiences, but still also feel like I'm truly relaxing and kind of like disconnecting.
Balancing it better.
Yeah. Yeah. Of like having that, like, my mind's going to shut off when I go walk around and again with the sheep or, whatever. Like, I think there's something about that as opposed to like a beach setting where it's like,
I'm going to get FOMO.
yeah. Yeah. I think that's like, if I go somewhere too stimulating, I'm going to get FOMO. I'm going to want to go do things and I'm going to be working and doing things. And I clearly cannot function and do that.
Yeah.
And that's on being almost 30.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess I will wrap this up for today.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll see what we talk about next time.
I guess so.
All right.
Thanks for listening.